Do you feel like you are constantly overwhelmed, tired, burned out as a leader? Well, guess what? You get to learn how to delegate and delegate effectively for you, your team, in your business, so that way you can be a more efficient leader. Stick around in this video because I am going to show you how to start delegating effectively and what to do when you delegate something and it doesn't go as planned. I'm Emily, and I am here to provide you all the resources around leadership development, business operations, systems, processes, to provide you tools so you can grow and evolve as a leader. Welcome, hit the subscribe button, and we are gonna dive in. So we're gonna start with the very first thing, let's just address it. Why you struggle with delegating. And I want to bring this to your awareness so that as you have the awareness, you can see the patterns, and then you can also start to shift those patterns. So why you struggle with delegating, there are a lot of different reasons why, but most of the common ones that we see when we work with clients is usually it is a control thing. So it's a fear of giving over control. And that comes from a lot of places. And sometimes that can come from past, or if you're not in control, it's not gonna work out. You have this belief that I have to do everything all the time. And so you get to be aware of this so that way you understand that you get to shift and change that mindset as a leader because it's not serving you. The other thing we see a lot of too is not having deep inner trust, not trusting your team, not trusting yourself to delegate effectively. And regardless of why you're not trusting yourself, you get to understand that and really look at that and shift that so you can start really delegating in an effective way. And then the biggest thing is the belief that I have to do it all. I have seen this a lot, even in corporate spaces and business owners, I just have to do it all. It's this mindset of if I don't do it, nothing gets done. And trust me, I understand this more than anyone because this is one of the shifts I had to make as a leader is I don't have to do it all. I get to be supported. And being someone that has gone through a lot of life experiences that has always shown me that I'm not supported, I had to learn how to shift that mindset and really as a leader step in to be supported and allow myself to receive that support and drop the story of that I have to do it all so that it actually gets done. Because that story really is not true. It's just a story, right? So take some time to evaluate what stories are there for you. Do it with no judgment, no shame. This is just awareness. We don't need to be judging or shaming ourselves. This is how we grow. And then the next thing I want to talk about is really looking at the cost of not delegating. What is it costing you? If you are the bottleneck of your process, what's it costing you? You're being burnt out. You don't have no energy. And your team performance is probably also lacking and they're not as productive because of this. So if you look back and look at it and you ask yourself, what is the cost of this? And get really clear, that will also help you start seeing and having the awareness around, I really do need to start learning how to delegate as a leader. I want to talk about the benefits of delegating. We all know there are many benefits, but a lot of times we don't see the cost or we have the awareness of around the delegating that we don't even look at the benefits of delegating. It is, when it comes to delegating, and you start delegating effectively, some of the benefits you're going to see as a leader is one, you're going to be able to focus on strategic priorities. You're going to be able to start to have more room and space to be able to look at the strategic picture, the strategic vision, and then also to be able to pour into your own employees, right? You're going to have more productivity. You're going to see that as you do less, all this busy work was just keeping you really, really busy. So you couldn't really focus on really what matters. And you're going to see an increased productivity around you, around yourself and around your team. I know this is probably not the most popular opinion, but trust me, it works. Try it. It works. You're also going to see that you're going to have more clarity and you're going to be better at decision making. I know that a lot of you leaders already understand decision fatigue, where you make all these decisions and you're just tired of making decisions. But when you start to delegate more, you have less decisions and you also start to prioritize different things very differently. So for your team, there's going to be massive benefits because it's a very much as you delegate to your team, and if you delegate in an effective and efficient way, you're going to also be teaching them trust and accountability. And this is huge because it becomes a development tool for them as your team. And so your team starts to trust you as you trust your team. You're also going to see that there's going to be more stability and sustainability around what you are building, because you're no longer the bottleneck of the process. You're going to have a stronger culture, and you're going to see that your team is also, as they start to trust you, it opens up more of a collaborative environment and collaborative culture. The other thing that is going to be huge is your team, you get to use the delegation as an opportunity for growth. And this is really a mindset shift as leaders get to have. When you delegate something, don't just hand it to them. Don't just be like, oh, here you go, right? There is an effective way to delegate. And that's what I want to get into next is, how do we delegate in a way that makes our teams, makes them feel heard, seen, supported, and also it's something that's in alignment with them, something that they want to learn and grow. So then it becomes this thing you're delegating to them so you have more time, and then they're learning and growing through this. But because by doing other projects that they normally don't do, they get to learn. But you as the leader get to guide and lead that. And so if you don't delegate, they're not going to learn. And they're also not going to have like that culture of collaboration and having that trust in you as the leader. I know it's shocking, but trust me, a lot of people do not understand this. So I want to talk about start with the delegation process. So first, identify what needs to be delegated. What is something that someone else can do? What is a task? What is the task? And one of the great ways to do this is also look at where are you the bottleneck at, and what process, and how can you delegate that to the right person. Now, I say the right person because this is important. You don't want to delegate something to someone that they really don't have no interest in, or they have zero desire of doing. And this can be taken a lot of different ways. So you look at their strengths and their current role, and you get to ask them, hey, if I was to delegate this to you for an opportunity of growth and evolution, is this something you're interested in? Is this a project that you would be willing to take? So many times I have seen leaders just delegate things and walk away. There's no clear expectations. There's no reason, why are you delegating this to me? And a lot of times the person that gets the delegation just feels like they got more work. But if you break it down and you really teach them, hey, I'm trying to give you an opportunity to grow. I would love for you to take this project. I would like to delegate this. And then also put this in with performance reviews. Have these conversations with your employees that, hey, we really want to be able to grow and develop you as a human, as a person in the workforce. And part of this, we would love to understand, what are some projects that you would like to work on? So that way you also know that when you go to delegate that. As a leader, we all get to do a better job at developing our employees and making them feel like they are a part of the workforce, and actually seeing them as humans and not just a number, not just someone that does work. They are humans, they have feelings, okay? We get off of that soapbox real quick. The next thing is, when we are delegating, is providing clear expectations and communicating this. Making sure they understand what are the expectations with the project. Setting clear KPIs will hold both sides accountable. And then also setting check-ins with them. Do they need a check-in on a weekly basis, on a daily basis? What does that look like for them? And also set these with the person you are delegating with it. Don't just, as a leader, be like, oh, here are all the things, here you go. Because maybe the person that you are delegating this works very differently and doesn't need a daily check-in. Or maybe they do need a daily check-in just to know that they are supported. So understanding your employees will help you also delegate more effectively. And it's having these conversations. Hey, what kind of support do you need from me to be supported through this process? How can I support? And so in your check-ins, you get to see what is the progress, what is the process. And this is also where you as a leader get to be very mindful not to micromanage. This is not a control thing. This is a delegation. I'm delegating you this project. And also being mindful when they do a great job, it doesn't matter how big or small, celebrate them. If this is their first project they've done acknowledge them and celebrate it. So that way they understand too, they're getting the feedback. Now, what do we do if it doesn't go right? So these are your opportunities for you as a leader to coach and guide them through it. So if the delegation is not growing right, you get to look at the data first, not your emotions and feelings, right? Look at the data, and that data should have been set on the KPIs that you set at the start of it. So if you already had those KPIs set, then you know what data you are looking at. And if it's not the right data, you need to go back and reset the KPIs. That's like your foundation. KPIs are your foundation. So when it's not going right, this is your opportunity to have those conversations, to have those development conversations. And those conversations get to really be like an open dialogue, like, hey, what is going on? How can I support you? If the project's not going the way that you thought it was going to go, don't get into this mindset of, oh my goodness, I delegated and now it's not going the way that I want it to go. Don't get into that mindset as a leader. This is growth for both sides. And if you've not delegated effectively before, you get to work and grow and evolve as a leader through this. And part of that is staying calm in the chaos, staying calm through change, and developing that foundation of, I get to lead through this, and so we're going to have a conversation around it. And this is always a lot of times where the leaders will just take the work back. Like, I'll just take it back because it's easier. Don't do that, because you're going to go back in the same cycle of not delegating. And so when the delegation does not go effective, make sure that you go back to your KPIs, reset, have conversations, adjust as needed, and then continue on. Maybe you add some extra check-ins. Maybe you add a tracker where it's shared between the two of you and you know what's going on a daily basis. There's many different ways that you can delegate in a way that is effectively for both you and the employee that's doing the work. Same way, if you're a business owner and you are hiring someone to do work for you, make sure that the expectations are clear, everyone's on the same page of what's being measured, and then how are we going to measure success out of it? What does that look like? So that way, when you delegate things, you know that there is this support, and there's also this guideline around supporting you as leading effectively through delegation, but you also get to help develop your team. So just to recap, do not be the bottleneck of your process. As a leader, do not be the bottleneck of your process. Delegate effectively and efficiently, so that way you and your team can grow and evolve and expand. And at the foundation, have a strong foundation with KPIs. Make sure that is all set in stone. But before you start to delegate, make sure you do the mindset work around your mindset and shift what needs to shift as a leader before you go into this next process of delegation. So if you have questions around this, comment below, let me know. If you want a KPI tracker to help you stay on track with tasks, just comment below tracker and I will send it to you and I will share it with you. If you need some support working through this one-on-one and you want to have a one-on-one session with us, feel free to comment below and we will send our booking link to you. Until next time, go, grow, evolve, and expand as a leader.